This war stops now.
You are tired of the war. I can see on your face.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast, episode 13, I think. I just had an interesting experience going out into the world. Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and I needed to pick up a few things. So I go to Deerberg's, a local grocery store. And I love Deerberg's. And I go there because my sister and I like this little appetizer dip that they have. It's a crab dip with cocktail sauce and sour cream cheese. My mom used to make it, and they do a really good job at it. So I go there. I thought about going there this morning. I got on and I seen on Facebook that the stores were crazy. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just go there right before it close. I don't know. That was probably a mistake. That was a mistake because I get there and, of course, no crab dip. So I go into Deerberg's, go straight to where the dips are, and got any. Look around, kind of maybe got buried. So I'm thinking, well, I really want some of this dip. So I'll go find a worker. And I make my way to the deli counter. I was close by, and two workers were having a conversation. And not your normal, like you normally see, like teenagers or 20-something-year-olds talking about life. This seemed to be a supervisor talking to an employee. And after a moment of me standing there, I was finally acknowledged. And I said, hey, the crab dip over there, do you know when you might be getting more in? And she's like, oh, no, there's some over there by the seafood. I'm like, I don't think so. But okay, go check it out. Maybe it's over there too. And it wasn't. It was some other kind of like prepackaged stuff. Not what I was looking for. So I go back over to where I get the crab dip from, get a similar container of dip, and then go up and take it to her and say, I want this crab dip. Do you know when you're getting more of it in? Yeah, no, I said. So I go to where the dips should be. I grab a similar dip, and I take it to the lady, and I say, when are you going to get a fresh one of the crab dip like this? And she's like, oh, this is all fresh. And then she heads over to where she pointed towards. So I follow her, and this doesn't expire. Like, she like really heard that word fresh, and I didn't mean it isn't fresh if it was like unfresh. I meant, are you getting a new delivery? When are you going to be restocking the shelves? Maybe it's in the back. Maybe you do it in the morning. Maybe you'll get a delivery in the morning. That's what information I was looking for. And then she's arguing with me, and I'm like, I was like, why are you hassling me, lady? And I said this to her, like, me? Like, I just want to know when you're getting more of this in. Is it going to be tomorrow night? Do you have some in the back? No? Okay. I'll live. I should have came in earlier. It was such torture. I will definitely avoid... I definitely avoid stuff. I mean, I order crap on Amazon all the time that I could go find at local stores, but I don't want to like truck around. Like if I don't know it's somewhere, I'll go to somewhere I know it's at, what I'm looking for. But I'm just not gonna travel around town looking for crap that I could order in seconds off Amazon. It's like I know I'm contributing to the downfall of something, but so I came across this. This Oliver Anthony he posts a lot on Facebook, and he posted. Apparently, this went down at a Walmart in Kansas City, so it's not something he saw; it's something he's reposting. But it might be interesting. See, that is goodness. That was so amazing. I would love to see that. And why can't that happen more often? In other news, Trump did some stuff, said some stuff. So Donald Trump makes absolutely wild claim about Joe Biden and Catholics. Don't know what he said? Let's find out.
The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall, which was causing them to have to clean up. So I grabbed a towel and started wiping the ketchup off of the wall to help the valet out.
Okay, so that was pointless. Trump accused President Joe Biden of overseeing a Soviet-style persecution of Catholics and claimed FBI undercover spies are about to infiltrate the churches.
This was tough,
but
we got there.
I thought that was true. I didn't know that was crazy. Biden has described himself as a practicing Catholic. He practices. And it's just the second Catholic president. Okay, all right. Okay, just throwing some shit at the wall. So, I seen this. CNN, is Trump actually moderate?
Why does Donald Trump's extreme rhetoric seem to have no negative impact on his standing among Republican voters? As you no doubt heard, last Saturday in New Hampshire, Trump said that migrants are poisoning the blood of America. Language like that fuels the narrative that Trump is an authoritarian. But might he actually be more moderate than dictatorial? That's the provocative thesis of my next guest, who made that claim in a New York Times essay. He says that despite the rhetoric, Trump's actual record is that of a pragmatist. And as to the inflammatory quotes, there's evidence they actually are boosting Trump's standing. A Des Moines Register poll just showed how when the Register read a list of 8 of Trump's more incendiary remarks to likely Iowa Republican caucus goers, well, you'll find these results shocking. Asked about Trump's statement that immigrants who enter the U.S. illegally are, quote, poisoning the blood of America, 42% of likely Republican Iowa caucus goers said that makes them more likely to vote for Trump. As for his claim that if reelected president, he would authorize...
Well, see, those are interesting numbers, okay? So, as things stand now, better. These are kind of interesting statistics. So, 42% said it's more likely to vote for him. 28 less likely. But if you're not going to vote for him, you're not going to fall on either one of those. And it doesn't matter, not sure. That would include that number should include his people who are definitely going to vote for him and not for him. Because I would go into it under the not sure, or no, the not doesn't matter not sure category. It's not that I'm not sure. It's if it comes down to Trump, Biden, RFK, I'm going to pick Trump, depending on his vice president is, which is what we're going to get into here in a minute. Odd numbers, though. That's odd numbers. And I don't think they mean anything really.
That makes them more likely to vote for Trump. As for his claim that if reelected president, he would authorize sweeping raids, giant camps, and mass deportations, 50% said that makes them more likely to support him. As for his claim that, quote, the radical left thugs that live like vermin in the U.S. need to be rooted
All the
out,
numbers are the same.
43% said that makes me more inclined to vote for him.
See?
A possible explanation lies in this Times essay by Matthew Schmitz titled The Secret of Trump's Appeal Isn't Authoritarianism, in which Schmitz writes, during his presidency, Mr. Trump's often intemperate rhetoric and erratic behavior ended up accompanying a host of moderate policies on matters ranging from health care and entitlements to foreign policy and trade. Mr. Trump routinely rejected the most unpopular ideas of both political parties. Issue by issue, Schmitz then tries to delineate between Trump's rhetoric and his actual governance. By way of
He's a New York liberal who loves this country. He ran for president as a negotiating ploy with NBC for his next deal with The Apprentice. And he won, to his and everyone else's surprise. So that's why he was so unprepared. That's why he couldn't put together a good cabinet. And he actually accomplished some things. Many things of all of those things, from what I know of, have been undone. The left, when he came down those elevator doors, the left said he was an enemy and have gone after him nonstop since. If they would have just kissed his ass, it would have been fine. Trump doesn't seem to have a strong opinion on the trans issues. He attacked DeSantis about the abortion issue, what DeSantis did in Florida. He's not conservative. He has been governing conservatively because the conservatives have been the one praising him. Learn a lesson.
example, with regard to the abortion question, he writes this: though he championed the overturning of Roe versus Wade and has charged Democrats with supporting laws that make it legal to rip the baby out of the womb, quote unquote, in the 9th month of pregnancy, he has also broken with abortion opponents. After Mr. DeSantis signed Florida's ban on abortions after 6 weeks, Trump called the move a terrible mistake. By criticizing both late-term abortions and the most comprehensive restrictions on access, Trump has managed to reflect the muddled views held by much of the electorate. Joining me now is Matthew Schmitz. He's a founder and editor of the online magazine Compact. Matthew, CNN viewers have steam coming out of their ears right now, and they are saying, are you joking? We're talking about a guy who sought to overturn the election result. That's the conduct of an authoritarian, not of a moderate. And you would say what?
So as you said, Michael, and thanks for having me on, it's important to look, as you know, a lot of voters seem to do, not just at Trump's rhetoric, but at his record on immigration. His rhetoric is inflammatory and seems to be getting more so.
A lot of his appeal was that he actually followed through on a lot of what he said, but he actually wasn't all that much. It was a lot for an elected official, and that's why that's part of the reason why he was so loved. But there's a lot of things that he didn't deliver on. Rhetoric
Has shown that voters have more trust in Trump's record on immigration than on Biden's. So one way to understand, how can people be abiding this rhetoric, which sounds so crazy? They may be looking at images of the border and saying, well, rhetoric that's a little wild. I can overlook that when there's such a deep crisis at the border. You mentioned those poll results from Iowa. I think one risk that there is for the Trump campaign is, though Republican caucus goers who are very committed Republicans said that some of these statements were more likely, a plurality said that those statements made them more likely to vote for Trump. A plurality of independents said of some of those statements that they made them less likely to vote for Trump. So the political valence of this may change as we move from the primary to the general.
Okay, by the way, we have up on the screen right now the Des Moines Register poll, which goes through those 8 statements. And on the left, in the darkest of color, are those who say, yeah, I agree with him. Isn't the takeaway from the Des Moines Register poll, Matthew, that it's not as if his core electorate secretly hopes for the moderation that you write about. No, they want the guy who stood in New Hampshire last week and said migrants are poisoning the blood of America. It's the opposite of what you advance in your piece, isn't it?
I think I can push back on that a bit, Michael. Thank you for the question. In the Des Moines Register polling, you saw that a plurality said that the poisoning the blood comments made them more likely to support Trump. At the same time, a plurality of those same Republican likely caucus goers said that Trump's talk of possibly terminating parts of the Constitution made them less likely to support Trump. So, what could explain that difference? I don't know. It's pure speculation. But we do see that on the underlying issues that voters are more likely to trust Trump than Biden on the issue of immigration. But on the issue of defending democracy, voters are more likely to trust Biden than Trump. So,
Well, that's crazy. Well, between all the people running for president, only one administration has been locking up its opponents.
I'm not sure, but I think some of that may reflect voters trying to comment on the underlying issue.
Matthew, the essay in the Times was jarring, I think, to many of them.
Jarring!
Especially that this opinion, which was provocative.
Provocative!
So I paid attention to the comments. I'll put on the screen and read to you aloud. Here was the number one comment.
See, I've never seen this ever, that they actually put up a comment from an article as news.
How many times will a
So that's another thing, folks. Okay, so you're going to start seeing this more often. So if you're going to create a narrative by a story and give it a certain slant, you just go through the comments section of an article that you want to talk about, and there'll be some person that'll help fill that narrative. It's perfect.
Apologists for Donald Trump disingenuously tell us to take him seriously but not literally. I think Selena Zito was the first to say that. Mr. Schmitz makes a shameful attempt to whitewash Trump's rhetoric and distract us from the danger Trump poses to American democracy and the rule of law. Trump, the only president in our history who mounted a coup to overturn the results of an election he lost and who openly expresses his admiration for authoritarian rulers like Russia's Vladimir Putin.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not actually even listening to what he's saying. Okay, my is totally zoned out. Okay, Trump, the only president in our history who mounted a co-op to overturn the results of an election. Okay. A sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from government. He didn't commit any violence, nor did he encourage any. He encouraged Mike Pence to do something that seems arguable that he had the authority to do. Whether he should have done it or not, I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, using some words. So that's not what that means. Overturn the results of the election. Kennedy, I believe, did something somewhat similar, and that isn't the only time it's happened in history. So we are talking Stephen N. from Toronto is quite ignorant. So Trump, the only president in our history, mounted a coup to overturn the results of an election, which he didn't. And if you consider what he did, if you're changing the definition of a coup, either way, I'm not saying it right, he's not the only one to do it. So even if you change the definition, he's not the only one to do it. And who openly expresses admiration for authoritarian leaders like Vladimir Putin is no moderate. Well, he's a businessman. So the same Stephen N. So on a story. So you know what kind of guy that is. Okay. How many times will apologists for Donald Trump disingenuously tell us to take him seriously but not literally? That's fair. Mr. Schmitz makes a shameful attempt to whitewash Trump's record and distract us from the danger Trump poses to American democracy and the rule of law. Hopefully Trump just doesn't decide to call off the election and just take the presidency for himself. Apparently he's that's what he's doing or has done, in the act of doing. I don't know.
Donald Trump disingenuously tell us to take him seriously, but not literally. I think Selena Zito was the first to say that. Mr. Schmitz makes a shameful attempt to whitewash Trump's rhetoric and distract us from the danger Trump poses to American democracy and the rule of law.
Let's pass this. Nothing else happened, I'm sure. Anyway, Trump has governed conservatively. He's not conservative in his character. If the left would just kiss his ass a little bit, they'd get whatever they wanted out of him. So Tucker Carlson was on Tim Pool's podcast at AmFest, TPUSA. They're Charlie Kirk's organization. They were there doing the podcast, and I think on the last episode I called it TPS or something. I guess I had office space on the brain. I was watching this and didn't even hear it, and then I seen the story afterwards, so I thought this was interesting.
Would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP?
So recently there's been some moderate to the left-wing media out there throwing the, hey, Nikki Haley, good idea for a good pick for Donald Trump. And they say, I suppose, this if they're rooting for Trump. So, but it's just an interesting idea. And as I think in retrospect, like, Trump made a huge mistake when he picked Pence. Not because of Pence's actions, man. Like, and I feel sorry for Pence because even, like, my opinion of him soured, even though if it really shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have. Once he started running and he showed his optimism for war, of course, then that was a hard no. Pence got a bit of a bum rap, for real. But he should have picked, Trump should have picked Haley from his VP from the get-go. He probably would have won re-election had he done that. Now, I don't think he should pick her this go-around, but no doubt, Pence didn't bring anything to the table. Indiana was going to go for him anyway. No one voted for Trump because of Pence. And now, he didn't need Pence the first go-round, but the second go-round, he clearly needed a vice president that can either deliver a state or a demographic. And Nikki Haley could have done that. I don't honestly know who won South Carolina. If it was Biden or Trump, I don't think it even matters. But either way, Haley was the choice. Now she terrifies me, and we'll see how this goes. But this question was posed on Tim Pool.
Would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote for Trump? Well, that's the question that I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up.
So, Tucker, who's a ardent Trump supporter, I probably didn't say that right. It's only I will. Saying that he not only would not support a Trump-Haley ticket, he would actually campaign against it. And no doubt, I think he would be advocating for either himself, or maybe he just ran himself, but RFK.
Who endorsed the BLM riots, and who is not only is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
Even Trump, Haley is a no-go.
Nikki Haley,
he would get assassinated immediately if that were the case.
Yeah, and by the way, I just can't imagine a world where that could happen. That would be so crazy. I mean, anything could happen, of course, but picking Nikki Haley, who's utterly treacherous and utterly dismissive of like the interests of Americans. Yeah,
it's a no-go for me, but it's a yes for BlackRock and State Street. I really do love her. But
don't forget Vanguard.
But I want to turn the question to everyone here, and just really quickly, who would you guys like to see as Trump's VP? As of course,
he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Probably the vice president.
So, I think I'm pretty sure I listened to this live, but I was not paying very close attention. Now, off the top of my head, Carrie Lake has been mentioned a lot. by the fanatics, and no. No. That would be insane. Now, I really, really like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And I think she should be a president of the United States someday based on her current trajectory. But she's pretty young still. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is 41 years old. She's the same age as me. And I'm not dogging on her looks because that's irrelevant. I'm not trying to court her. But the fact that she's not... Now, obviously, Huckabee has given her advantages in life. But she is not smoking hot. She's had to develop her brain. That's probably why I like her so much. So I would like her to keep on her path. And the next go round, it's fine. Be governor of Arkansas. You're there. She should be a future president if we have future presidents.
I have the. I know what they think. I have the straw poll results.
No.
I don't know if you guys
Before the straw
can
poll
see
results, let's
tab that
just
I
go
have
around.
open.
Who do you want to see as VP?
I'm a big fan of Vivek Ramaswamy. Charlie?
Now, yes. Vivek Ramaswamy, him as vice president, 100% would back. But I don't know if he's going to help you win many votes that weren't otherwise coming your way. But I like him. He needs to be part of the future. But what's going to happen to him for the next 4 years? I want to see his plans implemented now. He says, when I'm president, I'm going to do this and that. Can't you just help Trump do that? I can see that. As a vice president who don't actually do all that much, task him with making our government smaller. That would be a good job for him. But again, I think he needs a woman in that role.
I'm sitting next to, I think, should be vice president.
Me? I mean, I agree with you.
I'd vote for that.
I think Tucker makes a lot of sense for vice president. I've said it publicly.
Charlie Kirk says Tucker Carlson should be vice president. And then he says that Vivek should be vice president. I do remember that. And Tucker Carlson, vice president, interesting, but I think he's doing right where he needs to be. He made some comments earlier about, they've gone a little viral about, it seemed like he'd be open to kind of a more central planning of the economy. One of the best critics of the government wants the government to get more involved in our world. But I don't know if they get around to it, but here's the choice. Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota. She was in Congress before that. Yeah, of a tiny state. Okay. I mean, population-wise. Trump backed her from the beginning. She's a beautiful woman. And she recently spoke to Fox News a couple of days ago about Trump. Let's see what she said.
Welcome back to the special edition of Hannity. Democrats are in panic mode heading into 2024 as Joe Biden's poll numbers continue to plummet nationwide and in the swing
Well, why do you
states.
think this is like, how much is this broad getting paid? Lady. How much is this lady getting paid? I mean, just listen to it, though. I mean, I have a lot of work to do. I know that. And if you watch me, hang with me, it'll get better. I promise. I mean, I'm improving every time. Maybe then not so much this time. This got Jim Beam in it. But
Plan. It's simple. Change the rules and kick their opponent off the ballot. Earlier today, President Biden declined to comment on
she's
the Colorado
reading.
Supreme
She's
Court
not
decision,
doing it very well.
but asserted that Trump
When I first started this
an
podcast,
insurrection.
I was making
He's absolutely
slideshows
sure.
and
Take a
I
look.
would essentially read most of it. And then once I had the revamp, where it's just me, I just started going off the cuff. And I'll let it. I mean, if I say anything too stupid or mumble too incoherently, I'll just edit it out, and you won't see it.
Absolutely sure. Take a look.
Now, whether the 14th Amendment applies, I'll let the court make that decision. But he certainly supported an insurrection. And no question about it. None. Zero. And he seems to be doubling down on about everything.
Of course, Trump hasn't been charged or convicted of insurrection, but the left celebrated the court's vast overreach in Colorado. Turns out not everyone is on board. 2024 independent candidate RFK Jr. warned the decision could lead to problems down the road. And South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said,
I covered
what they're
that.
doing in Colorado is Biden's only hope of winning the election in November.
Is this a
Joining
Make-A-Wish?
us to tell us more, Governor Noem. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, Kellyanne. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, that's Kellyanne Conway, which was part of, I don't know what she did for Trump, but I know like her husband hated him and she was involved, and then there was nonstop leaks, and now she's on Fox News reading her job. Can you read your job? I can't read my job. I have to read so I don't screw up my job, but that's not the main function of it.
Absolutely. So, Governor, I think it's a very important point you make, and RFK Jr., of all people, took to X, formerly known as Twitter, and really gave a robust defense of the people, said that we can't let the courts and political manipulation decide our presidents. That right belongs to the people. But as a governor, what would you say if your highest
Okay, so this is supposed to be
was
Hannity,
to
and
deny
she's just
someone
filling in,
access to the
so I
ballot?
guess she's not probably a...
Well, what they're doing is unconstitutional, and it has no grounds. I think what is key is what you said earlier, Kellyanne, and that was that he hasn't been charged or convicted at all of insurrection.
So we're going to get just a typical Fox News interview here, and it's not going to do anything.
That's the hypocrisy that we're
so
seeing
we're not
right
going to see
here of
anything
how
here.
they're
I need to maybe do a deep dive and find her, see if she does podcasts or not. So I don't see much from Kristi Noem on the YouTube. Hopefully she gets herself out there. Either way, Kristi Noem is a good-looking woman. Now, it's from a smaller state, but she can help Trump get those white women voters back. There's a lot of things that affected the outcome of the last election. And if the last election was determined by honest-to-God votes, it was because Trump and his attitude, the way he talks to people, lost white women. Kristi Noem can help get those back. So Kristi Noem has to be the nominee for vice president. There's no other choice. Sarah Huckabee Sanders possibly, but she's kind of gruff, which is fine for who she is, but that's not, the role needs to be getting Trump the white lady votes. That's what needs to happen. That's all I got for today. This turned out to be super long. We'll see how much this gets edited down, because I don't even think I'm going to be able to do anything else tonight, but we covered some great stuff. So tomorrow I have Christmas Eve. I'm probably going to shoot a couple more episodes tomorrow before I go to Christmas. So thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas. Spread some cheer, please. And God bless. Like, subscribe, comment, follow, do all the things. James Jost at Twitter, if you like what I have to say. I am most active on that. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I don't like a lot of videos. But just remember, it's free. Like, that's how you pay me. That's a tip. You like me, you subscribe to me, you comment. Any of those things, it's like a little tip. So any of it's great. So I appreciate it. So until next time, remember, love one another. It's the holidays that hit the hardest when you're lonely. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind with your coworker, your neighbor, whatever, that you don't really talk to all that much. Maybe seems a little weird, doesn't really seem too social. The holidays can hurt. So those of you who are lucky enough to be surrounded with loved ones, imagine it's not that way for everybody. Some people are alone. Sad. Thanks for listening to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie. I will see you next time.